My 16th seed in the AFC is going to be the Cleveland Browns. I project them to go 3-14. I don't think they have a lot of cards here for this season. Look, they've got a quarterback carousel. I don't know who's going to be starting. I'm going to guess it's going to be Kenny Pickett, but he might be cut, and that's the problem. We don't know who the quarterback is. Shador, Dylan Gabriel probably will both get snaps this season. They don't have a strong run game to support these bum quarterbacks in a intense AFC. Myles Garrett could have an MVP level year at defensive end with 20 plus sacks. They might get to 6 wins. So I think the Browns' ceiling is they could be competitive come Thanksgiving if they're 5-5, 6-6. That is the absolute ceiling, is that this team finishes with 7 or 8 wins. And that is the basement of the AFC. Now into the done by December tier, I've got 5 teams. First one's going to be the Colts at 15. I think they will be 5-12. Once again, quarterback problems in the AFC that will doom you. Now, unlike the Browns, they do have some talent on offense. They've got Jonathan Taylor. They've got Tyler Warren at tight end. They've got a lot of good wide receivers. And the defense is not too shabby. The issue is in the AFC, the majority of your games that you're going to be playing, you're going to have to go up against elite quarterbacks. And when these elite quarterbacks play Daniel Jones / Anthony Richardson, that's a 10, 14-point swing. I mean, that's not even... You can't get it done with those quarterbacks. So regardless of what JT does, regardless of what the rookies do, this team 5-12 with a ceiling of 8-9, I don't see them making the playoffs. New England Patriots, I've got them at my 14th slot. I've got them also at 5-12. I think the quarterback situation is a little bit better than Cleveland and Indianapolis. I do think Drake May he's mediocre, which is okay. I'm not a big fan of the construction of this team. I don't think they've got an elite wide receiver. I don't think they've got an elite running back. I don't think they've got a great offensive line. I think the offense will be lackluster once again. And I don't think his defense is good enough to make up for it. So I've got them at 5-12 at the 14th slot. At the 13th slot, the Tennessee Titans. And look, all these 5-12 teams are interchangeable. Titans 5-12, Patriots 5-12, Colts 5-12. At the 13th slot, though, I do have the Tennessee Titans. Look, they've got a rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. I do think he'll be okay. I mean, still below average, but I think he'll be okay. And yeah, I don't think this Tennessee team is as abysmal as the Browns are. I think they're definitely a clear tier above the Browns and some other teams in the NFC, which we'll rank in a separate video. I could see, if Cam Ward has a CJ Stroud, a Jaden Daniels type year, I could see the Titans slipping into the playoffs, maybe sneaking into that 7th seed. Overall, though, I think he'll have a below average year, and I think the whole team will just be kind of mediocre. At my 12th slot, I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers, 6-12. I think the season explodes in Week 7. They are at Cincinnati, Thursday Night Football. I believe the Steelers will start out relatively good. The schedule is favorable for them. I think they'll be going into Week 7 into Cincinnati at 3-2 or 4-1. They have a bye week before this, so that's why it's not 6 games. But regardless, I think the Steelers will get kind of hot early. And I think the Bengals are going to blow them out by 25 to 30 points in this Thursday Night Football game. Aaron Rodgers is going to call out teammates. Mike Tomlin is going to say, I got to get out of here. I think this team is going to unravel, and I think they'll lose their last 6 games, some of which won't be with Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. At my 11th slot, the team Aaron Rodgers just recently left, the Jets. I've got them 6-11. I've got them in my 11th slot, also done by December. All 5 of these teams done by December. And yeah, look, they don't have a quarterback. Now, this team, out of all the teams that I have between done by December as well as the Browns, the supporting cast is phenomenal. You got Garrett Wilson, you got Breece Hall. The defensive line is pretty good. You got Sauce Gardner. If this team can get average quarterback play, they could make the playoffs. The issue is you're expecting average quarterback play from Justin Fields. The only thing he can do average is once he throws an interception, he can track down that guy probably better than average. So he's got a lot of practice tackling defenders that have the ball. Now, next tier is going to be need to win the last 4. I think these teams These next three teams, I do believe they will all miss the playoffs. I do think that if they get hot at the end of the year, I think they'll be about 500 or just a game below 500 going into December. And I think if they get hot, they could slip into the playoffs at any of the wild card seeds. So number 10, I've got the Miami Dolphins. Look, this is a make or break year for Tua. It's a make or break year for Mike McDaniel. Tyreek Hill as well could be retiring. Jalen Waddle needs to get his name back out there. They've got to get it done this year. Look, they've got the talent. If Tua can't get it done, we've made excuses for him. Injuries, cold weather, didn't have weapons before Tyreek Hill. You got to get it done. You got to at least win a playoff game this year. And I don't think they will. I have them going 8-9. I think they're going to be a dynamic speed offense once again. Probably not as efficient as they were in the past. And I think the defense will be a little bit better than it was last year. But overall, I think they'll end up being kind of an average team that fizzles out when Tua gets injured or when the weather gets cold. But I've got them going 8-9. At my 9 seed, I've got the Las Vegas Raiders. I've got them going 8-9. I do think they will improve from last year. I think Geno's an upgrade. Well, he is an upgrade. I don't think he is. He's a clear upgrade at quarterback. Ashton Genty is definitely going to get boxes heavy, 8-9-man boxes. It's going to help Geno Smith out. And I think with Pete Carroll, I don't think this team is going to be a pushover. Do I think they're going to be great? No. Got them finishing 8-9. The Raiders in the past couple years, they've been pushovers. I think they'll be a formidable foe, and I don't think anyone's going to be blowing them out. Number 8, I've got the Denver Broncos. I've got them finishing 9-8. Similar-ish construction to the Raiders. You know, a decent run game. The Broncos have a better defense than the Raiders, obviously. But I think both these teams are kind of going for ball possession, low scoring, quarterbacks that do just enough to keep them in the game. And I think a big game, you know, both these teams played twice after Week 10. If the Raiders or the Broncos sweep, that's going to be big for tiebreakers. That's going to be big for just getting to 10 wins. You probably are going to need 10 wins. 10 should get you in. I don't think any team's going to need 11 to make the playoffs. So those are the three teams: the Dolphins, Raiders, and Broncos. They need to win their last 4 to make the playoffs. Now here are the wildcard teams. Got the Los Angeles Chargers at 10-7. I think they're going to be pretty similar to how they were last year. Look, Omarion Hampton, you got Najee Harris. I get these are bigger names. Are they really that much better than J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards? I think the run game will be similar. I think Justin Herbert will get more free reign. And I think the defense will regress a little bit. So I view this as somewhat of a similar team. Maybe they completely throw to hell to everything and let Justin Herbert air it out and use these backs as just when needed. That would definitely change the dynamic of this team. But I still think the Chargers are a team that's going to lose in the wild card but keep the loss close. At the 6th seed, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars finishing 10-7. Look, this is the year they need to get it done. The coach is in his first year. He's probably not going to be fired. Trevor Lawrence needs to get it done. He is highly paid. Brian Thomas, breakout wide receiver. Travis Hunter, wide receiver / corner. Bigsby, ETN. They've got weapons. I think this Jaguars team, I could totally see them being a top 5 offense in the NFL. And they've got a great defensive line. A top 5 offense, a top 5 defensive line, that's a formula to win football games. So, got them 10-7. And I think they'll be a little bit more dangerous than the Chargers when it comes to winning, going far, because I just think the offense will be more high-powered. But I don't think this Jaguars team is a legit contender. The 5th seed, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals, 10-7. I've got kind of an odd opinion on this team. So, obviously, Trey Hendrickson and, I'm totally blanking on their defensive lineman that they drafted. Defensive end, pass rusher. Totally blanking on his name. Let's pull it up here, actually. I think it's Shamar Stewart. Yeah, it is Shamar Stewart. I assume they're going to have one of these two guys, possibly both of them, but they should have at least one of them playing. Even if they don't, just based on the law of averages, it's tough for me to believe that the Cincinnati Bengals will be the best offense in the NFL and the worst defense. It just doesn't seem likely. I assume the offense will have some regression to the mean and be the 6th best offense, and the defense will also have some regression to the mean and be the 25th best defense. Regardless, I think this team will be about on par how they were last year. They started off rough, they finished hot. I think they'll add a win here or there throughout the season. And once again, if you got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, no, you're a scary team in the playoffs, but I just don't think they're quite complete enough to compete with the top 4 teams. Division winners, it's pretty chalk. 4th seed, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, they're going to lose at 11-6. They're going to lose some of those close games. I think the offense will be, the passing offense specifically, I think will be more dynamic. I think Mahomes is going to get back to airing it out a little bit because I believe this defense is going to regress. Look, this Chiefs defense has overperformed for 3 or 4 straight years. I think the defense will be average. I think the offense will be good. It's a great. And I think they'll be 11-6. But the division is tough. And the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos, if all those teams split with the Chiefs could be looking at barely making the playoffs at 10-7. My number 3 seed also at 11-6. I've got the Buffalo Bills. Look, they overperformed last year with Josh Allen with mediocre weapons on the outside, tight end. James Cook is possibly holding out at the time of this recording. That will really hamper the Bills. Now, due to the Dolphins, the Jets, the Patriots, I don't view any of those teams as legit contenders. I think the Bills will win the division relatively comfortably. But still, if James Cook is out, the defense it's good, not great. It's kind of like above average, but you got to get some more weapons around Josh Allen. I think for them to be legit contenders, you need to make a big trade. I'm not saying for who specifically, but I think you got to get some vet in there. Number 2 seed, I've got the Houston Texans at 12-5. Look, I think this offense with C.J. Stroud, Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, I think this will possibly be the best offense in the NFL. Everyone sleeps on C.J. Stroud. He made it to 2 straight divisional rounds. He was a top 5 passer in his rookie season, and top 10 passer in his second season. I think this team is legit. I don't see a reason why in a poor division, with all these young guys developing, why can't the Texans be the 2 seed at 12-5? So they've got a big game early. My number 1 seed, which you guys can guess just through deduction, is the Baltimore Ravens. Look, they play them week 5 in Baltimore. I do have the Ravens winning that game, but if the Texans are 4-1 of the bye week, the bye week is after that game. So, look, if the Texans can be 4-1 going into their bye week with a win over the Ravens, that is big. That is big. Now, the number 1 seed, I got my own Baltimore Ravens. I got them going 14-3. I think the addition of Jair Alexander and Malachi Starks, I think we've got the most versatile secondary in the NFL. Now, I don't know if I'd say the best, because when it comes to passing stats, we were good down the stretch, but the lack of pass rush definitely hampered us. I would argue that just based on the versatility and we got 3 elite safeties. I know Malachi Starks hasn't played yet, but we got 3 elite safeties. We got 4 good cornerbacks. A lot of versatility. Hamilton can play in the slot. Humphrey likes to play in the slot. You got Washington, who flies around there on the back end. You got Wiggins. You got a lot of studs on this team. So I think the combination of having the best rushing attack in the NFL, as well as some dynamic weapons on the outside, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Isaiah Likely, that's going to be just enough to keep defenses on their heels. A top 5 offense, as well as a top 10 defense with possibly the best secondary in the NFL. I think that is what the standings will look like for the AFC.